you got to look at your mate and figure out how your mate works, which means you got to know your mate. But what I will tell you is everything starts with compassion when there's going to be potential constructive criticism or concerns being addressed. Okay. It has to start with compassion. And what I always tell women, and I'll both tell men too, and it sounds crazy, but like, imagine, like, for a woman, imagine if you're trying to explain something to your son, how would you explain it to him? What level of compassion would you use if it was being explained to your son? Same thing with men. If you want to communicate something to your lady, explain it with the same delicacy and the same compassion that you would explain it with your daughter. And I think that...
What is she explaining though?
Well, what she's explaining is her concern. Like, we're not being intimate. Because women have sex to be intimate. That's intimacy for them. You know, a large portion of us is the physical pleasure that comes out of it.
Right.
Okay.
The release.
You see what I'm saying? And not just the release, but like, you know, for a lot of fellas, like, you get a lot of pleasure out of pleasing too. You know, like, portion of that feeds the ego, another portion of that feeds you saying, you know, I gave to my lady.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's also a little bit deeper than that, but I think that's sort of like the prescription I give people is taught from a place of compassion and seeking to understand.
I think so. The thing is, like, when I talk to the ladies, because I do agree, it gets to the point where they just not having sex. But when I speak to the ladies, they talk about the kissing, the hugging, all of that stuff. Touching. Not just the sex. It's like it goes from not having sex to just not touching, kissing at all.
Yeah.
Why do you think those things are also associated with it? Because does the guy know that a little kissing, a little touching here might set something off, or is he just so discouraged he doesn't want to do anything?
I think a portion of it is a misunderstanding of and understanding that the importance of intimacy for a woman. Intimacy isn't just penetration. So a lot of men don't understand that. They don't understand what intimacy is. And then the second portion is men are afraid that if they know that they can't perform when it comes time to, they know that the intimacy is eventually going to lead to them having to perform. And so if you haven't had those conversations and you haven't gained understanding in that area, then you're going to shy away from it all in all. And ultimately what's going to happen is not only are you going to shy away from it, but if she or he keeps asking for it and she or he isn't able to perform, eventually it's going to turn into frustration, and frustration turns into arguing, and arguing turns into people being upset.
It's crazy because, you know, a lot of women get, just women as a gender now get a bad rap for not being loyal. But I spoke to many women that they're in these marriages like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and are still loyal, not stepping out, and still maintaining this relationship with their spouses.
Bro, I got a friend of mine. She was literally with her husband, and she was telling me they were not intimate for over a year and a half.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
And she threatened him and said, look, if you don't have sex with me by the end of this year, I'm leaving. And gave him 3 more months, and he still didn't touch her. He did not want to end the marriage. He just got to a point where he could not perform anymore. Now, a portion of it that I was explaining to her was how she spoke to him out of frustration.
Right.
Emasculated him.
Complete emasculation.
And so when I explained that to her, I was like, you've been with this person for so long, and both of you have been aggressive, and you turn your aggression off because you like, wait, like, if you ain't showing up, I ain't showing up.
Exactly.
And then when he didn't show up, you voiced your frustration, but it emasculated him. And once he became emasculated, like, it's important for women to know a lot of a man's erection is his confidence.
Look in the camera right there and let him know.
A lot of his erection is his confidence. So when his confidence goes out the window, the unfortunate thing is that his ability to perform will greatly diminish as well too. So that's what happened. Now, I don't necessarily blame her. I blame both of them.
Yeah.
Because there has to be understanding on both parts.
Yeah.
Because as a man, and this is just my personal opinion, not my professional opinion, but my personal opinion is that there are areas that we got to lead.
Right.
And you need to set the standard for where you're going to lead in those areas. Okay. Before the relationship starts. Now, you can either express those implied or you can express those through action. Okay. So you can either talk about it or you can actually do it. Now, if you set the table where you're the aggressor when it comes to sex, meaning like you initiate, okay? And then the tables turn where you're not initiating because you like, well, I want you to initiate, and you just turn it off without talking, that's your fault. You see what I'm saying? So that's sort of what I always tell people, is all about communication. And I think the vast majority of relationships are ending because of unexpressed expectations.
Wow.
People aren't expressing expressing what their expectations are.
Yeah.
And when people get frustrated, they don't know how to communicate that. And especially when it comes to sex, because even though everybody's having it, it's still a taboo conversation. Like, you know, like maybe you like something weird.
Yeah.
Maybe you like something spiritual. Like, baby, before we have sex, I want to pray over you. Like, but then I want you to pray over me too. Like, you know, whatever it may be, works for you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but you know, like most of the time, that's why it's not working. People aren't talking.
Well, see, so these relationships, not all of them are ending. Some of them are staying, and it's the men that's still in these, you know, relationships. And I'm just curious to, you know, your thoughts on this one, because if a man is having erectile dysfunction, he knows it, the wife knows it, so forth, and he is still continuing to stay in the relationship, isn't it safe to assume that it's probably a bunch of other things not going well in that relationship? Because I just can't understand how, if sex is so important to men, I can't imagine a guy only failing in this sole area of sex and everything else is going good.
Well, you got to understand that in most cases, this is a health issue. And if you have one problem with health, it means you're going to have many problems with health. Erectile function isn't just by itself. Most people are going to have hypertension. Most people are going to have high cholesterol. Most of them are going to be overweight. Most of them are going to have low testosterone. So erectile dysfunction is just a symptom. It's not the cause. So you're going to see many symptoms. So of course that's going to leak out into the relationship in all facets.
You know, I like that angle better than your dick not working.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You are not healthy is
You're
much
not
better
healthy
than your penis is
Yeah,
struggling.
yeah.
But see, I think the biggest thing though that you stated that I think can't be understated was it's all, I mean, how talk about different areas gets affected. If a man is not sexually performing well, his confidence as a man is hit. So like your confidence is what you use and carry in all different areas of your life.
Yeah.
And if you're not feeling strong like a man, you probably, your handshake probably ain't as firm. You probably not negotiating as well as you should be. You probably not as aggressive in life as you probably should be, really living on your edge. So I can see how that how a biological issue can even become psychological very fast.
Yeah, because even like low testosterone leads to reduced motivation. Okay, assertiveness goes down. So our hormones aren't just about, they're also about who we are as people too.
Yeah.
So it changes who we are. Your testosterone goes up, it's gonna make you more aggressive. It's gonna make you have more muscle, which is gonna make you more confident. You see what I'm saying?
Man,
It goes down, it does just the opposite.